Saturday morning to you, and welcome to On the Mark. Along with Mark Papa, I'm Gary Byron. Mark is with Financial Resources Group out of Glastonbury, Connecticut. You can check them out online at www.f, as in Frank, frplan.com. By the way, on their website, there is a link to their YouTube channel. Or if you can go to YouTube on your own, just in the search field, make sure you type in Mark Papa 5207. That's MarkPappa 5207. You can get any portion of this show and any of the episodes in the past that you either may want to review again or listen for the first time. Also, here's most importantly, the phone number for you to call. Give him a call. Matter of fact, he's got an offer that, boy, it's pretty hard to refuse. You sit down with him for 30 minutes, do a review, you get a $100 gift card. I mean, my goodness, it doesn't get much easier than that. But I think the benefits of your meeting is going to produce a lot more. It's going to be a lot more fruitful than a $100 gift card, that's for sure. Write this phone number down. I want you to call it, but I want you to listen to the show. So you can call it now if you're under the gun for time, or call at the end of the show, or, at the very least call next week, or perhaps even Monday. 860-657-8380. Once again, 860-657-8380. And if you missed any of those points of contact, no worries. I'm going to repeat it at least a couple more times before the show is over. Mark, good morning. Good to see you.
Hey, good morning, Gary. How are you?
Well, we're in August. I can't believe summer is a little, half over. I'm not one of these people who's doom and gloom and says, after the 4th of July, summer's over. I mean, for my goodness, we still have warm days way ahead of us. So.
Yeah. But what really bothered me is 2 weeks ago I saw, and this is 2 weeks ago, we're in August now, and 2 weeks ago I saw a back-to-school advert in the middle of July. So, yeah, that really woke me up a bit. To say, oh, God, we don't, so make the best of every day.
And that was 2 weeks ago.
That was 2 weeks ago.
You know,
now that we're in August, you got to make the best of the summer.
You know what you're going to see about a month from now? Christmas trees at Lowe's and Home Depot, some of these big stores.
Yeah,
Can
absolutely.
you believe that?
Yeah, and then it's
Halloween. You'll start to see those spirit shops popping up.
I was at the At Home in Manchester. It's already out there. Yeah, early bird shopping for Halloween and skeletons and everything.
Oh,
I don't think they're doing too well, but long story short, we'll get on to it.
Oh, All right, let's jump right into things, Mark. In your experience, why is it so important to integrate income planning, estate planning, tax planning? Because they're often treated separately, but you say they should be tied together. So why? Walk us through your thought process here.
Right. Well, they should be tied together. In fact, it should be one central hub that manages all of those things. One central hub that knows your estate plan inside and out. A central hub that knows and sits down with you on an annual basis. Doesn't use financial plans, by the way. Financial plans are for you to organize assets. Financial plans just kind of give you an idea of what you have. Financial plans that use projections are garbage. The minute you take a look at that projection, that plan, it should go in the garbage, because the next day the market changes, things change. Projections are no good. So anybody who's doing a financial plan that's showing you projections, come call me, because I'll break it down for you. Nothing grows at 5% a year guaranteed for 6 years, for 20 years, or 3.5%, whatever. No one knows what the rate of inflation is going to be. So what we want to make sure that all these things are tied together: your income plan, your estate plan, and also your tax plan. Because taxes, the better we do with taxes, the more money you're going to have in your retirement.
Okay. So, it makes sense. Efficiency across the board. All right. So let's kind of drill down on tax management. You've mentioned that it can actually improve investment returns over time. So how does that work exactly? And really, be honest, what's the typical savings for a retired taxpayer?
Well, Gary, it's actually substantial. Now, Vanguard and Fidelity, they did a study. I know, and the whole idea is to reduce tax drag on your portfolio. Okay, that's the big deal. Tax drag is a problem because it can put you in a higher tax bracket. A lot of times that tax drag is coming from money people are not using because there's lots of trading going on. Capital gains are getting passed on to you. and your accountant's just telling you to send in more money to the government, that's not the right strategy. But tax track could be huge. Vanguard and Fidelity show that effective tax management can boost after-tax returns by 0.5% to 2% annually. That may not sound huge, but over a 20, 30-year retirement, it adds up to be very, very big. And again, if you're fee sensitive, think about that. No one talks to you about what you're paying in taxes anymore. Everyone, what's my fee going to be? What's my fee? Well, let's look at the overall cost of your fee. What's my rate of return going to be? Well, what's your rate of return after tax? I've seen mutual funds lose somewhere between 30 to 40% of the advertised rate of return in taxes. Okay, I've seen that, and it's available on Morningstar. Not all of them do, but many do. So we want to avoid that. Your typical retiree, let's say $50,000 to $100,000 in income, with smart planning like strategic withdrawals, using brokerage accounts, Roth, traditional IRAs, planning ahead with those Roth conversions I keep talking about, harvesting tax losses correctly, meaning you're using tax lots within the portfolio, not just looking for, the whole position, but really diving deep. And timing your Social Security can save you anywhere between $2,000 to $10,000 a year in taxes for your average person with a $50,000 to $100,000 annual income. Schwab research suggests that splitting savings between tax-deferred accounts and Roth accounts in the middle brackets, 22 to 24%, can reduce lifetime taxes by 10 to 20%, depending on your situation. That's like giving yourself a raise without working harder. How many people went to their boss and said, hey, I need a 10 to 20% raise? What's the boss going to tell you?
Go pound sand.
Yeah, he's like, there you go. There's the door, right? I'll give you 2%, 3%, maybe inflation, but I'm not giving you 10 or 20. But what if I can find a way to actually give you 10 to 20? And in fact, we have a strategy that can give you up to 25% more income, lower your tax bill, and lower your chance of running out of money. How would that be?
Mark, I mean, I'm listening to you. This is eye-opening. Thousands saved annually could actually mean, more vacations or security for grandkids. That's impressive. Mark, just shifting gears, what about estate planning specifics? You emphasize keeping a durable power of attorney up to date. I've heard you say this a number of times. Why is that so critical if someone becomes incapacitated? And tell me more about the importance of having an updated power of attorney just to protect the loved ones against, that incapacitation.
All right. Well, let's do a little history on this. And let's just talk about what durable power of attorney is first, and then we're going to go into that. So unlike a regular POA, Gary, let's say you owned, I was your real estate agent, and you owned property in North Carolina. Okay? Mm-hmm. You couldn't come to North Carolina to do this, do the property, but you send me to North Carolina. I would have you sign a power of attorney for that one transaction, and you authorize me to act on your behalf to go sell your property, go to the closing, right, and sell your property. Once that deal's done, power of attorney is dead. No longer null and void. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, with the durable power of attorney is designed, and it's one of the most overlooked tools, Gary, and I'm sure my estate planning brethren out there listening to the show would agree, lets you appoint someone, usually a trusted family member or advisor, to handle your financial affairs if you're incapacitated due to illness, accident, or cognitive decline. Now, unlike the regular POA that I just brought to your attention, the durable version stays in effect even after incapacity, avoiding the need for a court-appointed guardianship or a conservator. And conservators, you want a regular power of attorney. You don't want to be dealing with the probate court to become a conservator. It's a lot more work and it's a lot more costly. So now, updating it. Why do we want to have this thing up to date? Banks, brokerage firms, insurance companies, do you think that they make life easy? No. Are they going to give you a hard time when you want to put money in the account?
Well, no, not when you put money into the account. Right. Only when you take it out. Right?
Yeah, right. When you need to take it out, guess how the type of difficulty they give you. And one example of that, I was in a local bank. I won't mention the company's name, but it's one of the top 5 largest banks in the country. And this woman was on the telephone yelling at the bank teller, at the bank branch manager, saying, "We have a power of attorney. You need to give us this money. We have a medical bill to pay. We have an emergency." And they're like, "We're sorry. We can't help you." We said, "You need to come in with a copy of the power of attorney. We first have to review it. Then we have to send it up to legal. You're going to have to bring in 3 forms of ID, making sure you're the actual power of attorney, blah, 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 putting them through all these hoops. And all she was trying to do is help her mother, probably pay a bill at the nursing home, or maybe the electricity got shut off, but she couldn't get her money. How would that be?
Oh, terrible.
Right.
Of course.
So, and what kind of advisor would I be if I wasn't checking
You
that
have
for
to
folks?
check. You're right, of course.
So making sure that power of attorney is up to date is crucial. So typically within a year, we want to make sure it's been renotarized and refreshed within 1 year. And then there's other ways to make it better. For example, Gary, we also want to know how frequently it needs to be renotarized. So some banks might be a year, some might be 2 years. Some brokerage firms, we have an insurance company that was 3 months. I mean, this thing was like 6 months old. They rejected it and says, no, you sign our form, our version of the form now, because this is old. It's out of date. 3 months is out of date. I mean, the ink's barely dry in this thing. So imagine that. Now you need your money right away. Or how about, making sure, will it allow you to retitle accounts if necessary? Does it allow you to change beneficiaries? Does it allow you to roll over a 401k? How many people are thinking about this, Gary? What do you think?
No, I don't think many people. I don't know how many people are thinking about their 401k.
Well, the problem is they're not thinking about it till it becomes a problem. Our goal is to sit down with you.
I kind of set it and forget it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I'm saying, what happens if you were incapacitated and you needed to roll money out of that 401k to your own IRA, and they wouldn't let you do it?
Ooh.
And it was in your best interest to get out of that. Let's say the fees were high, didn't have you had to start liquidating.
They're going to try to make things difficult for me.
They're going to try and make things difficult. And even harder is 401ks require you withhold at least 20% as a minimum, all right, versus an IRA. You can play around with the tax brackets. The big problem I run in with that is, and this is something that is not well advertised, is when you go to you're in a nursing home and you're paying nursing home bills, that's a Schedule A itemized deduction. You don't need to withhold anything from your IRA. Now, the whole time your money is going to sit at the government till you can actually finish your tax return, when you could have been using that to spend for your care, which makes no sense. You'll get it back at tax time, but, unfortunately, you could have used that money during the year. That also depletes your accounts even quicker because you have to liquidate securities to send money to the government, which makes no sense. So,
wow.
Yeah, so those are little things we like to look at.
No,
as well.
I mean, hey, that's powerful. It's not just about you, but shielding your family as well. You also have a power of attorney checklist. I've heard you, months ago mention that. You share that with clients. Maybe you could walk us through some key items on that.
Sure. So we have the power of attorney checklist that we utilize. That we sit down with you, we go over all your accounts, and for those willing to do it, and not everybody is all that eager to get it done, but for those willing to do it, we actually have a checklist that will show you how often, do you require your own POA or documents? So do you want the originals? How frequently does it need to be renotarized? Will it allow you to retitle the account? So we go to each and every one of their financial institutions and find out what the rules are. Because you think Bank A's attorneys are going to think the same as Bank B, Gary?
Of course
Or do you think they'll be different, right?
No, they'll be different.
They're going to be different. So we need to know exactly what's going on. And this is why consolidating your accounts is such a good idea. But, the bottom line is we want to make sure that you can get your money when you need it most at all times. So we have our power of attorney requirement checklist, and then just some helpful tips for people with their durable power of attorney. You have to choose the right agent. You have to choose somebody who's reliable, someone who's good with money, someone you could trust, someone who's willing to do this. And usually it's your spouse. But I want to add in, I spoke with a litigation lawyer who's part of one of the law firm we work with, is Stately, and is a digital law firm. It's a self-directed law firm that we use. It's licensed in all 50 states for people who need basic estate plans. We have an incapacity-only plan. People can go on to get their durable power of attorney up to date every year and get their medical power of attorney updated. So think about this. She was saying now, if you're married, you want your spouse, as long as you're getting along and you're not in the middle of a divorce, right? Your spouse becomes attorney in fact right away. Okay, you want that. However, if you're not married, let's say you have a third-party power of attorney, might be a buddy of yours, an old girlfriend, or somebody that, you're next to kin who's the closest to you. One of the things that she recommended was to not make it so that you have to have at least 2 doctors render you incapacitated, because otherwise that person has the right to go. Not to say they're going to do this, but there's a lot of elder abuse and a lot of fraud when it comes to dementia. People can just go right into your bank account and empty it out and do what they want with that money. No, that would be illegal.
So you got to specify these powers pretty clearly.
You want to specify these powers very clearly, detail what they can do, like managing bank account, real estate, taxes, including gifting powers is a big one too. Sometimes you need that for tax planning, and sometimes you might need it to qualify for Medicaid. So those are big deals right there. You want to make it durable. As I just touched on that. Comply with state laws, obviously. Now that means if you move to a different state, you may want to get a refresh on your power of attorney. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people like to move down south. Their power of attorney is a Connecticut power of attorney. And I'm not saying it won't work. However, it may be better to have a power of attorney that is based upon the state you're living in, which I think most people would agree with. Also, know that places like the IRS, Medicare, and Social Security may need their own forms alongside your POA, and that's the fact. What if I told you that Social Security Administration does not honor your perfectly legal power of attorney? Would you believe that one?
No.
Would you be shocked?
I would be.
Okay.
Why, is that true?
That's true.
Oh.
And I'm going to go into that. The IRS requires a form. It's called the 2848. We use that from time to time when we need to represent people through our tax business. So those are big, big deals. But I want to talk about Social Security Administration for a minute. Do I have extra time to talk about that?
Let me do this really quickly first. You are listening to On the Mark, along with Mark Papa. I'm Gary Byron. Mark is with Financial Resources Group out of Glastonbury. You can find him online at frplan.com and 860-657-8380. Let me repeat that for you. 860-657-8380. 8380. Don't worry if you missed any of that. If I spoke too fast, I'm going to repeat it one more time, more towards the very end of the show. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, so Social Security, if you Google Social Security power of attorney, you'll find out that they do not honor perfectly legal powers of attorney.
Why?
Because, unfortunately, Social Security. Do you think Social Security, the IRS, and Medicare would all have the same form, or do you think they're all different forms?
They're going to make it as difficult as possible.
Each administration has their own form uninterrupted. So they will not let you use your perfectly legal power of attorney. You have to become what's called a representative payee. And you actually have to make an appointment with Social Security, go down there, become appointed, get approved, and go through the rigmarole. In order to manage that person's benefits. And we have a very powerful story we use in all our meetings, but I'm going to tell you a separate story. We have about 6 or 7 articles that we share with folks that show that what they call a clerical error. Mm-hmm. It's kind of sad, but the Social Security Administration calls it an electronic error or keystroke error. That's what they call it, keystroke error. They say it was a keystroke error. So what happens is 12,000 people approximately each and every year are accidentally killed by the Social Security Administration. Now, they're not actually killing anybody. What's happening is they're due to the keystroke error, which is a very, let's say, politically correct term for screw up, as long as the FCC is not going to chase me in that. This person was actually killed. So this is one woman. Her name was Patty Young, and she was from Mason, New Hampshire. She discovered that she'd been declared dead when she went to the Department of Motor Vehicles to get a new driver's license. And the agent at DMV told her that there was a problem with her Social Security number and that she needed to contact the Social Security Administration. So she kind of laughed it off and said, okay. So she immediately drove to the local Security Administration office after showing the agent proof of ID and was told that she'd been mistakenly declared dead due to keystroke error. Now, and then she says, quote, I started to laugh when they told me, said Young, who is 65 years old. I had no idea what a big deal it had become. So the Social Security agent told Miss Young, that it would take 2 business days before they could fix the error, which could be just in time for her to receive her next Social Security check. So she's got her Social Security check coming in. What happens if that gets shut off? That's a pretty big piece of most people's retirement income. What happens if they shut it off? But what gets worse is if they declare you dead, they claw back 2 months' worth of Social Security checks. So let's say, imagine it was $2,500 a month. Now they're taking $5,000 from your bank account, and it gets worse. They shut down your bank account. They shut down your Medicare. They shut down, anything that was related to, your Social Security number is no longer usable until this problem gets fixed. So here's what happened in her case. So 2 days turned into 3 months, Gary. Okay, 3 months.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, during which time she was able to get a new driver's license and receive her benefits once they fixed it 3 months later. Luckily, her and her husband didn't struggle too much because they had pension benefits to fall back on. But the 3 months, all of those phone calls and office visits and everything getting cleared up was extremely, extremely frustrated. So, Gary, is that something that we should focus on in advance, at least get...
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, right? So that's something that we also make people aware of in what we do.
This is a true story. Is this one of your, this person?
This is a true story. Here is the article from Your Money.
Oh, my goodness.
Let's see. Who was this? MSNBC. Let's see. Money.com, CNN. So this is from CNN.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I see it.
Yeah. And it's one of 6 or 7 articles, and each person has a different story. There's also one about the retired professor we like to tell that goes to the ATM who wanted to go bowling with his buddies, and he'd accidentally been killed. But his story snowballs and a lot worse than this one. I don't want to embellish, but he was the one that actually ended up having a stroke over this whole thing. And, was in it. Not good.
So what do you recommend somebody to do to, prevent this from ever happening to them?
Well, I think the main thing is to know about it, be educated, understand what can happen, understand if it does happen, how to react and what to do. So what we do is with all our clients' estate planning documents and within our checklist review, we put a copy of the representative payee form. We write a little note to say this may not be current. Please download a new form. But at least the person who is your power of attorney, who would be responsible to become that representative payee, knows what to do, knows what's next. And in the worst case, we said, just call us. We'll help you put it all together.
Yeah, those are invaluable. It's invaluable for those difficult moments. Just related to incapacity, if you don't mind, if someone's loved one is receiving Social Security, becoming a representative payee might be necessary, right? So can you outline the steps with the Social Security Administration? What kind of steps do you take here?
Well, the first thing you need to do is you can't just run down there with your power of attorney because, again, it doesn't work. They're not going to accept it. You need to call them or make an appointment and sit down with somebody at Social Security in order to get that form placed in force. So you have to fill it out correctly, and it has to get approved. And then once it's approved, then you can manage somebody's Social Security benefits. Mm-hmm. And another reason why you'd want to do that, if someone is incapacitated and they're not able to pay their bills on their own, God forbid that Social Security check gets shut off due to an identity theft or something along those lines even. How often does identity theft happen with seniors these days?
Yeah.
I mean,
they're targeted.
I just stopped an $80,000 transfer, not from my firm, but I got a call from this woman's husband. And I stopped an $80,000 transfer. I said, here's the fraud alert number. He called me up. I was out to dinner. I said, I looked it up. I go, call this number immediately. And she was close to transferring $80,000. And had she done that, she would never seen that money again. So we see a lot of, fraud out there. So we want to be able to protect against that too. But bottom line is, having, knowing if someone's becoming incapacitated, having that conversation, and going down to Social Security and getting this form taken care of so that you can take care of their benefits and manage them in the event something goes wrong.
I got 3 minutes left.
Okay.
However you want to spend it.
One other thing, Gary, that's for financial. Let's talk about medical for a moment.
Sure.
We want to make sure that we have our medical power of attorney up to date, stored in a digital vault online. So I carry a little card with myself.
Not bad.
That says,
Not bad idea. Good.
Yeah, and it has my medications. It shows any pre-existing conditions I might have. And it also says, here's who to call, what to do to get my healthcare proxy, which is the legal authority to act on behalf medically. Another form, which is our quality of life directive, that shows what I'd want in a gray area situation, so that this way, God forbid, someone makes a decision on my behalf and I can't, and I die, they don't feel like they killed me and carry that guilt and remorse throughout their life. So those are things that we do also. I pay for that for the first year, by the way. It's $25, $50 a couple. I'm allowed to do that. I think we can gift up to $100 a client or whatever. So we do that. I pay for it up front for them so that they can upload their documents to a system called DocuBank. And we take care of that for you as well. So these are just those little things that we like to do that can become big things if they're not taken care of. Okay, and that's one of the major things that we like to do. That's all part of our full checklist review.
That's awesome.
And again, aside from you come on board with us, you get not only do you get estate planning at no cost, your kids get estate planning at no cost as well because they're getting married and having babies now. And I'm sure, as much as they don't want to hear it, you're saying, "Oh, do you have a will now?" Because guess mom and dad, if something happens to them on the flight to Jamaica,
yeah, if you're a parent, regardless of your age, you got to have a will.
And guess what's going to happen? Guess who's going to have to take care of that mess if you don't have a will? So you want your kids to have wills. So we say, bring your kids in. Here's the link. Let's get them set up. Let's get your will, your power of attorney. Let's get all this stuff done now.
Yeah, this is key. But just reminding people, as I've got about less than a minute left. $100 gift card. All I got to do is just sit down and spend a half an hour for 30, 40 minutes with you.
It's more, the half hour is to get to know you. It's the full checklist review, which, again, is going to give you a lot more than $100. $3,200 on average for a $250,000 house. Most people have $1 million, so you're looking anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 in additional savings, and that's on a tight budget. We often find a lot more. Sometimes we find less, but a lot of times it's more. And that's money you get to put back in your pocket. You're not working for it. Just like that tax planning I talked about through Vanguard and Fidelity, 10 to 20%. Back in your pocket if you do it right. I
mean, the $100 gift card is great. Make no mistake about it. But the meeting that you have is how they're going to benefit from it.
I just want to pay for your troubles. Come on in and see me, and let me see if there's a way to help.
Yeah, everybody's time has value to it, as yours does, folks. If you'd like to check out more information on Financial Resources Group out of Glastonbury, head on over to their website, which is frplan.com. Here's the phone number one more time. Write it down. 860-657-8380. 860-657-8380. For Mark Papa, I'm Gary Byron. Thank you so much for listening to On the Mark. Until next Saturday morning, have a good one, everybody. So long.